Hey, look, it's the Double Wide Dudes. Oh, yeah. Well, all right. Welcome back to another episode of Double Wide Dudes. This is going to be another segment of the family experiences, the short series where we're interviewing families that bought a mobile home to share their experiences. But yeah, before we get into that, you're finally back on the podcast, AP, after 1 full week.
I love how you called me out that last episode, man.
Yeah.
I did the interview. I was in the podcast, guy.
Yeah, I mean the editing part. I guess I jumped the gun on saying that, you know.
But yeah, I'm back.
Yeah. But yeah, we had the solar eclipse today, man. What'd you think?
You know, I looked like an absolute idiot. I didn't want to look at the sun because I didn't have the goggles. And my brother said, "Hey, do a selfie, and then you can see it on the back." And I went and did 10 selfies.
See it on the back how?
You know how you do the selfie cam, and I could see the sun behind me, right?
Yeah.
And I took 10, 12 selfies. I didn't see anything.
Pure blur.
Yeah.
Or just a big blob.
It got a little darker, and the rest was just a normal Monday.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I tried to look up at it. I was excited, to say the least. I mean, I was believing the hype. But
look cool online, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else, man? What else we got going on in your life?
We've got a major event happening here for our Boston family. We broke ground last week on what's going to be our brand new model center there off 281 South. Mm-hmm. Getting trees cleared. We got power poles put in, and really excited to get that place up and running comes January of next year.
Yeah, these pop-ups have really worked well for us, and who knew where it was going to take us? But a year into it, I guess we're finally going to have the lot, a nice lot, come January of next year.
Yeah, it'd be nice. Looking forward to it.
Well, let's jump into this interview that you did with the Gomez family.
Yeah, this was a fun one. And at full disclosure, Ernest actually now works with us at the Boston Mobile Home family. And we weren't around as a company when he was going through the mobile home purchase with him and his wife, Lisa. Mm-hmm. But they just bought a home, 3.5 years ago. Now that he's been on both sides of the industry, I just thought they had some real valuable insight for our listeners thinking about making a mobile home purchase.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of good information in there. I took a listen to it while I was editing it, and so without further ado, let's jump into the interview and see what they have to say.
All right, so I guess first off, why don't y'all introduce yourselves?
Hey folks, my name's Ernest Gomez, and I have my wife here.
Hi, my name is Lisa Gomez.
Well, I appreciate y'all joining us. The segment we're working on right now is family experiences. And what we're really trying to capture for our listeners is that experience, that home buying experience that I know y'all went through not too long ago. How long ago did y'all actually purchase your manufactured home?
About 3.5 years ago.
3.5 years ago. So I guess first off, walk us through what was the home buying experience like for you guys?
Well, Lisa is extremely thorough when it comes to doing her research. She was doing her online research, and when it came down to it, we had gone through pretty much every place that up and down 90, 410 and 90, anywhere we could get our hands on to walk through. It was tiring. To say the least, I was exhausted. After the first place, I wanted to quit, but I couldn't.
It's a big decision, right?
Yes, it is. And we just knew exactly what we wanted, what we needed, what we could afford. And that's specifically, as we walked through the door, that's specifically what we told the representative. We need to be in this price range. We didn't want anything fancy, but they still kept showing us the houses. Like the very first company that we went to, I think it was Solitaire, even though we said we need a house within like 30-40 grand total, they showed us the house that cost 90 grand. I'm like, are you serious? I was thinking about the representative, like, did you even hear what I said? Like, we need simple, 30-40 grand at the most. I know you can do it, and you show me one that costs 90.
Is that something y'all ran into a lot during your shopping?
Yes.
Yeah, almost every place they tried to upsell us, and I mean it was frustrating. When, like you said, we knew exactly what we wanted, where we wanted to be, and nobody took that into consideration.
So were y'all able to do any kind of research online before you went and physically shopped dealerships?
I mean, minimal. I know she did a little bit, but there was really nothing online to really help us. You know, it was just, here's a house, come on in. You know, no prices, no real information.
I guess let's step back before y'all even started shopping. What was going through your mind when you were deciding to make that jump into home ownership, and what led to y'all to decide to choose a manufactured home for your first home?
Well, I mean, we had just gotten married, and since I've grown up in a mobile home, pretty much my entire life, you know, we were living with 7 other people, you know, besides us 2. So you're looking at 9 total in a 4-bedroom home. I mean, luckily we had our own room, but it got real crowded real quick. So we were just wanting to get out of our current situation, and you know, we had looked into rentals, and you know, I was the only one working at the time, so I was trying to find something close to work. But heck, even on the southeast side, I mean, we're looking at rentals for, you know, a 1-bedroom apartment, you know, and because I had pets, I mean, they're looking at about $1,000 a month. You know, I mean, they're fairly decent, but it just, if I could afford that, you know, we figured we might as well look at just something that I knew, getting a piece of property and a home, and it just made sense.
Gotcha. And Lisa, was that your same train of thought at the time?
Yes, we like you said, we were looking into rentals pretty much everywhere. Not only close to his work, because I wasn't able to work at the time, and when I took over the finances and saw how much we could actually afford a month, either to rent or to buy our own house, it just made sense to have something paid for that's going to be ours eventually, rather than just throwing money away on rent.
Right. And y'all actually ended up purchasing a piece of land and building on a piece of land that you own, right? Take us through the experience of finding the land and finding the right place for y'all to live.
Well, I mean, we did pretty much online to start. I mean, we had looked everywhere: Lytle, Natalia, Somerset, Castroville. I mean, any place that had a piece of property that we felt that we could afford, we looked. And what we ran into really was property anywhere between 20 and 30, you know, undeveloped. You know, maybe cleared out, but just straight raw. And I mean, we knew it was going to take some money to get septic and water and you know, the electric and everything else that's included.
So what led to y'all choosing the piece of property you ended up buying?
Honestly, sheer luck. We ran into a gentleman who actually helped us with the home buying, and he was selling a property that it was in an area that I knew, that I liked. It was three-quarter land, and it was completely developed. I mean, we had to do a little bit of upgrades, but nothing a couple thousand couldn't fix. And we got it for a steal, you know, for about $20,000, and we jumped on it. And, you know, the land was perfect, exactly what we wanted, just enough space to give us our own home, and that it just made sense. Everything just fell in line.
Awesome. And aside from buying the land and buying the home, what other costs were involved for you guys to put together that land home package?
Well, we had, first of all, the pad, of course, that we had to do. The house that we got was a newer house, and the land was old, so the electric type, the electric post was at 100 amps, and the house was built up to 200 amps. So we need to upgrade that, which was an extra $2,000. We needed to put all the water lines, not the water lines, I'm sorry, to connect the septic. Decided to save a little money, not to have somebody else do it. We did it ourselves. That was time consuming. And of course we needed to buy all the materials for that. It wasn't nothing crazy, but still cost money. What else did we do?
They go on to talk about what they contracted out to get the site ready for the mobile home. They did the sewer lines and water lines and as much as they can themselves, but they had a buddy of theirs do the electric and the base pad. So, goes to show that you put a little hard work, you can save some money in the back end to get your site ready.
So when during the process did you figure that stuff out, and I guess how did you account for that financially?
We didn't take into account the electricity until we had already bought the property. I didn't know anything about it, and we weren't told about the electricity app until after we bought the house, and that's when we did the research on having our electrician go out there. He's the one who told us, yeah, you got to upgrade from 100 to 200, and this is what it's going to cost, kind of thing. The base pad, we had an idea that we needed, but it was a little more than we expected. But luckily we had the savings. And when it comes to material for like PVC pipe and stuff like that, we knew that wasn't going to be too much. So we were kind of prepared for that.
Well, was there anything else during the buying process that maybe caught you by surprise or you didn't know about getting into this?
Yeah, everywhere we went, which drove me nuts, was they always asked us for our credit and our down payment. It was very much an interrogation as opposed to really, finding out what made sense for us and what was important for us. I knew my dad had bought a mobile home 20 years ago, and he kind of let me know what he went through, but it's kind of like nothing changed. He even told me that he had to put a deposit fee or application fee or something like that, and every place asked for our credit, and at the time, I let the first place do it, but I was adamant about not letting anybody else do it again, because once I realized what my credit was, I wasn't trying to get hit anymore.
So what about the process after you decided on a builder, you decided on the home, the financing part of this deal? What was that like for you guys?
Yeah, well, since I was the one working, it was fairly simple until they had to get a hold of my, the bank had to get a hold of my employer.
Ernest does a good job of explaining that some things are out of his and the retailer's control. Financing in the mobile home industry is pretty similar across the board from place to place. They all use the same banks and the same processes. So it's just another hoop homeowners need to jump through to get the deal wrapped up.
It was just between the bank and my job.
Right. Now that y'all been living in this home for three and a half years, right?
Yeah.
What has manufactured home living meant to you guys?
It's really everything for us. It fits exactly our lifestyles. We're not completely frugal, but our priorities are set towards traveling and to do more experience-based things, and being that we never had a huge high-cost rent of $900 or $1,000 or mortgage that I know some people pay $1,200, $1,500 or something like that. We paid off our land already. We've traveled through, numerous countries over the last couple of years, and we still plan a really big trip for the World Cup next year. And we have a lot of opportunities that a lot of people may not if, with different priorities.
Right. All right. Well, lastly, any advice y'all would have for someone listening that's maybe thinking about becoming a homeowner, doing their research on manufactured home retailers, builders? What would y'all's advice be to those folks?
I would advise to start with a list of things that you want, like specifically want, starting with actually in the house what you want, how many bedrooms, bathrooms, floor, carpet, or whatever it is. Start with your basic needs, like compare those and see what fits your picture, and go from there. Pricing wise, like knowing your budget, that would really help initially when you're starting to look for a house, like what you can afford, knowing how much a month you're bringing in, how much you're spending, and how much you would be able to put away for your house, for your payment for the house, or whatever it is, how you're going to be doing it.
Gotcha.
So my main advice to all the people who are looking into home ownership is to start striking their finances very, very well. Otherwise, the process is going to be taking forever because the banks are going to be looking at it anyway. And if you're not prepared already, the process is going to take you longer.
So get organized and get prepared before you make the jump.
Yes. Yes.
And what about you, Ernest? Any advice you'd share with our listeners out there thinking about buying a home?
When I first before we bought the house, I got one little tidbit from somebody I trust, and he said, at the least you're going to get frustrated. At the very least, it's going to be a little frustrating. To just have patience, because a lot of things that happen aren't going to be in your control, and they're not going to be in the person you buy the house control. It's just going to be things that happen.
Well, there you have it. That was the conversation between Alberto and Ernest and his wife Lisa. They pointed out some really good perspectives on what actually happens in a typical home purchase when choosing a retailer and getting the whole thing set up. I hope you enjoyed it and got some good insight out of the conversation, and hopefully helps you point in the right direction to get something like this done for you and your family. Well, that does it for this episode, guys. Thanks for listening as always, and talk to you on the next one.